Reverse psychology is an intriguing method of persuasion that capitalizes on the natural human inclination to resist authority or control. By suggesting the opposite of what you actually want, you can subtly influence someone to make the decision or take the action you desire. The genius of reverse psychology lies in its subtlety. The other person doesn't even realize that they've been influenced. Whether in personal relationships, business dealings, or everyday situations, reverse psychology can be a powerful tool to get what you want when used wisely. In this guide, I'm going to take you through 11 ways to use reverse psychology to manipulate minds and achieve your goals. These techniques can help you navigate tricky social dynamics, influence others without being overt, and turn the tables in your favor. But remember, these strategies should be used ethically and with respect for others' autonomy. Number 1, planting the seed of rebellion. One of the core principles of reverse psychology is leveraging the natural human instinct to rebel against authority. When someone feels pressured to do something, their first instinct is often to resist. You can use this rebellious streak to your advantage by suggesting that they shouldn't do what you actually want them to do. For example, let's say you want a friend to join you at a social event, but they seem hesitant. Instead of directly trying to convince them to come, you might say something like, "You're probably too busy to come to this event. It's okay if you skip it." This statement subtly challenges their autonomy, planting the idea that maybe they should go just to prove that they can. The desire to defy your suggestion may push them to do exactly what you wanted in the first place. This strategy is particularly effective in situations where direct persuasion fails because it taps into the person's need to assert their independence. By making them feel like they are reclaiming control, you subtly guide them towards the outcome you desire. Number 2, creating the illusion of choice. People are more likely to make decisions that align with your goals if they feel they have control over the outcome. Reverse psychology works by offering them a choice, but one that subtly directs them toward the option you want. For example, if you're negotiating with someone, instead of pushing them to accept your terms, present them with 2 options, one that is clearly less favorable for them. By making the less favorable option seem like what you really want, you allow them to choose the better option, which just happens to be what you wanted all along. The key here is to make the other person feel like they're making a decision autonomously. This technique works because it gives the illusion of freedom while still guiding them toward the outcome you desire. People are more likely to stick with a decision when they feel it was their own, rather than something imposed on them. Number 3, leveraging the forbidden fruit effect. There's a well-known psychological phenomenon called the forbidden fruit effect. When something is off-limits or restricted, it becomes more desirable. Reverse psychology taps into this by presenting a certain action or decision as something they shouldn't or can't do, thereby making it more appealing. Imagine you're trying to sell a high-end product. Instead of pushing the sale, you might say something like, "This product isn't for everyone. Only a select few really understand its value." By positioning the product as exclusive and out of reach, you make it more desirable. The customer may start to feel that they want it precisely because it seems unattainable. This approach works because people are naturally drawn to what they can't have. By making something seem scarce or forbidden, you increase its perceived value, which makes the other person more eager to obtain it. Number 4, using reverse motivation to inspire action. Reverse psychology can also be used to motivate others by challenging their abilities or suggesting that they're not capable of achieving something. This approach taps into their desire to prove themselves and pushes them to take action just to show that they can. For example, let's say a colleague is hesitating to take on a leadership role. Instead of encouraging them directly, you might say, "I'm not sure you're ready for this responsibility. It's a pretty big step." This subtle doubt can trigger their competitive nature, making them want to prove you wrong by stepping up and taking on the challenge. This technique is particularly effective in situations where someone's confidence is wavering. By questioning their ability, you create a psychological push for them to prove themselves, which can be far more motivating than direct encouragement. Number 5, Indirectly guiding decisions in relationships. In relationships, whether romantic or platonic, direct confrontation or persuasion often leads to resistance. Reverse psychology offers a way to guide someone's decisions subtly, allowing them to feel like they're making their own choices, even when you've gently steered them in a certain direction. For instance, if your partner is reluctant to go on a vacation that you're excited about, instead of trying to convince them, you might say, "I understand if you'd rather not go. It's your call." By removing the pressure, you allow them the space to reconsider the idea on their own. In many cases, they may come around to the idea without feeling coerced, simply because they believe the decision was entirely theirs. This approach works because it respects the other person's autonomy while still subtly guiding them toward the outcome you prefer. The key is to remove the element of force, which makes the decision feel more like their own. Number 6, reverse psychology in parenting. Parenting is an area where reverse psychology is often employed, sometimes without parents even realizing it. Children by nature are inclined to resist commands. Reverse psychology can be a powerful tool for guiding their behavior without direct confrontation. For example, if your child refuses to eat their vegetables, instead of pushing them to do so, you might say, "You probably won't like these. They're too grown up for you." Suddenly, those same vegetables become more appealing because they feel like something they're not supposed to have. This approach plays on the child's natural curiosity and desire to assert independence. This technique works because it shifts the dynamic from a power struggle to a situation where the child feels like they're making their own choice. By framing it as something they're not expected to do, you make the behavior more appealing, which can lead to a more cooperative response. Number 7, deflecting pressure in business negotiations. Business negotiations are often high-pressure situations where both parties are trying to secure the best deal. Reverse psychology can be a powerful way to deflect that pressure and steer the negotiation in your favor. For example, if the other party is pushing hard for a particular agreement, you might say, "I'm not sure this deal is the best fit for us. We might need to explore other options." By appearing hesitant and pulling back, you shift the dynamic and put the pressure on them to convince you. This can make them more eager to close the deal on your terms, as they feel the need to win you over rather than being pushed into a corner. This technique works because it plays on the other party's need for validation and success. By pulling back, you create a situation where they feel the need to pursue you, which can give you the upper hand in the negotiation. Number 8, triggering the ego defense mechanism. One of the most powerful psychological drivers is the need to protect one's ego. Reverse psychology can be used to trigger this defense mechanism by questioning someone's abilities, intelligence, or strength, prompting them to act just to prove you wrong. For example, if you want someone to take on a challenging task, you might say, "I'm not sure you're up for it. It's pretty tough." This statement subtly challenges their self-perception, triggering their need to defend their ego by proving that they can, in fact, handle the task. This approach is particularly effective with individuals who are competitive or prideful. This technique works because it taps into a deep-seated psychological need for validation. By questioning their capabilities, you provoke them to take action, not because they were persuaded, but because they need to prove something to themselves and to you. Number 9, leveraging the power of reverse flattery. Reverse flattery is a clever twist on the traditional compliment. Instead of directly praising someone, you downplay their abilities in a way that motivates them to prove themselves. This subtle form of reverse psychology can be incredibly effective in influencing others to take on challenges or responsibilities. For instance, if a colleague is hesitant to take on a leadership role, you might say, "I didn't think you'd be interested in something like that. It's probably too much responsibility." This subtle doubt can spark their desire to prove you wrong by stepping up and taking on the role. The trick is to make the reverse flattery subtle enough that it doesn't come across as an insult, but still motivates them to prove themselves. This approach works because it plays on the person's need for validation and recognition. By questioning their abilities, you motivate them to take action, even if they were initially unsure. Number 10, Reverse psychology in marketing. Marketers often use reverse psychology to influence consumer behavior. By suggesting that a product is not for everyone, they make it more desirable to those who want to feel unique or part of an exclusive group. This creates a sense of exclusivity and scarcity, which can drive demand for the product. For example, a luxury brand might use slogans like, "Only for those who demand the best," subtly implying that their product is out of reach for most people. This reverse psychology tactic makes the product more attractive because consumers are drawn to the idea of owning something that others can't have. It taps into the desire to stand out and feel special, which can be a powerful motivator in decision-making. This technique works because it leverages the psychological principle of scarcity and exclusivity. By making something seem rare or difficult to obtain, you increase its perceived value and make people more likely to pursue it. Number 11, reversing expectations in social dynamics. In social situations, people often have expectations about how conversations or interactions will unfold. Reverse psychology can be used to disrupt these expectations and guide the interaction in your favor by taking an unexpected stance. For example, if someone expects you to agree with their opinion, you might intentionally disagree or take a different stance to steer the conversation in a new direction. This technique catches the other person off guard, making them more receptive to your influence because it challenges their assumptions. This approach works because it disrupts the expected dynamic, creating an opportunity for you to guide the outcome. By reversing their expectations, you create a psychological opening that allows you to subtly influence the direction of the conversation or interaction without being overtly persuasive. Now that you've learned how to use reverse psychology to manipulate minds, you have a powerful tool at your disposal. These strategies aren't just tricks, they're insights into the deeper workings of human behavior. By applying them, you'll find that you have an edge in navigating social dynamics, negotiations, and personal relationships. Let me know which of these techniques you found most intriguing, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insights into mastering the art of influence. Thanks for watching.